Hi, I'm just Miss Chokri and welcome to my channel. So in today's video I will be talking about books that I've enjoyed reading so far. I've just realised I've never actually kind of made a list or kind of spoken about the books I've enjoyed since I started reading, and I think that was about 2 or 3 years ago. I haven't read a whole bunch, but from everything that I have read, these are my recommended reads. But first we have Ahalya by Kololo Gupta. Now this is a book that I read a while ago, I think. It's been 2 years since I've read it, I think. Anyway, this is one story that's kind of like stuck in my mind. It's, I want to say, Hindu mythology, of course, fiction. So this is from the Sati series. So this was the first book. I can't even remember how I came across it. It was just very random. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna try my best to kind of explain what this is about without messing it up, but it's such a deep book. It's so beautiful. So Ahalya originally was a soul that was kind of roaming the heavens, and Brahma, who is one of the trinities, he gave her a body, and then he sent her away with a sage, Gotham, to Earth, to kind of live life and kind of just figure out what life means. One day, and Brahma kind of visits Earth and pronounces, you know, them to get married. And after they get married, Ahalya's very lonely. Of course, he's a sage, so he's prone to be a brahmachari, like live a life of celibacy. But she wants love. She wants someone who kind of cares for her and protects her and understands her. But Gotham is such a rigid guy. Like he's just built that way. I think sages are like, they can't give in to temptation, and you know, they have their own set way, and when they're on that path you can't shake them. But yeah, then slowly Gotham starts changing and kind of shows affection to her, and I think that affection kind of grows, and she doesn't realise anything's wrong, but something is wrong. Because this is a very well-known story in Hindu mythology, because Indra, the king of gods, who is also the god of senses, I want to say. I don't know how to say it. He's kind of gone into, well, not gone into, but he's controlling Gotham's senses, and that's why he's changing. And then before you know it, one evening they've kind of slept together, but it's not Gotham she slept with. It was actually Indra that she slept with, but he was posing to be her husband. And when Gotham realized what happened, he cursed Ahalya. He cursed Ahalya into stone, and said, until Ram, the god, doesn't set foot on the same plane as you are, you won't be free. And he also curses Indra as well. Won't tell you what the curse is, but yeah, it's just really, like, I don't know, this book was so interesting. And it was like, this was the first time when I read it, I genuinely didn't know who Ahalya was, but after I read it I felt sorry for her. Like, it wasn't her fault, like, because it was Indra who kind of like slept with her. Like she just thought, like, you know, this is my husband, and you know, he's a changed man, and you know, it's just really bizarre how like a woman is at fault when it's not her fault. And that was disheartening when I read it. I was quite sad about that. I cannot recommend it enough. It is very deep, it's very philosophical, and the story is really good. The writing is very poetic, it's very flowy. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, so yeah, I would highly recommend it. Next we have a non-fiction book. This was I think the first ever non-fiction book I read. So this is Untold. It's by various authors who have penned their stories, and some are very, very heartbreaking. I think there was one, I can't remember which one, but it was really, really sad. I was sobbing, like my heart wept that time I read the story. It was really, really heartbreaking. So the authors who have penned some stories are from America, they're from UK, and I think from Canada. But yeah, this book revolves around sexuality, caste, religion, and yeah, what society expects them, these women to be, and what actually happens. So yeah, really, really interesting. I would suggest you pick it up. I think I may perhaps reread this at some point this year, but yeah, really enjoyed it. I know it is non-fiction, but I did rate this, I think, 5 stars. But then again, like, I kind of think if it's non-fiction, you shouldn't be rating it because it's someone's personal experience. Yeah, it was interesting. It was just really eye-opening as well. So yeah, Untold, this is by various authors. Would definitely recommend this book if you're into non-fiction. Even if you're not into non-fiction, definitely do check this book out. Next we have Kololo Hill. Now Kololo Hill I hold very, very close to my heart. Not sure how I actually came across this book. I think I was just browsing, and I think it was this, the scenario of like me browsing the right website at the right time, and I'm so glad. Like, I'm so glad I came across this. So this is about a Gujarati family who live in Kenya, well, in Uganda, and of course in 1972 there was the whole expulsion of Ugandan Asians by Idi Amin when he came into power. So yeah, we just follow this family who before were living a carefree life in their home, and all of a sudden, one day on their telescreens they get to see Idi Amin and telling them they've got 3 months to kind of like relocate, and everyone's just thrown into chaos at that time, and they're just kind of wondering how to do things, where to go, who will accept them, and of course getting their passports made as well. It was just, this book is just something else. It's just really heartbreaking. It's very real, but I think I connected with this book more being a Gujarati myself, and of course hearing stories firsthand by other people I know who've been through similar situations. So I want to say this book is partly fiction, partly like based on perhaps real experiences. So yeah, it was such an amazing read, and I think I rated it 5 stars because it was that good. And yeah, I would like to reread it at some point this year, and it's just a shame that Nima Shah hasn't really done anything writing wise, I guess. I mean, I haven't seen or heard anything from her since this release. Not sure if she's actually writing something else, but I would love to see more of her work because I just enjoyed it so much. Next we have Book Eaters. Well, the Book Eaters. So I'm actually subscribed with Illumicrate at the moment, and this was one of their books last year, and I'm so thankful and so happy they included this book. Otherwise I wouldn't have actually picked it for a read, but I was really curious when I read the synopsis for this. So this is about Devon, who is a book eater. Now there's like a handful of book eaters which are scattered throughout UK, and yeah, like the title suggests, they consume books instead of food. And the way their family kind of system works is, if you're a woman, you get married into a family, have a child, look after it for a couple of years, and then get married into another family to have more children, just so the clan kind of keeps on growing and doesn't kind of go extinct. So Devon's first marriage, she had a baby girl, and she didn't want to leave, but she had to leave and get married to somebody else. And you know, from that marriage she had a boy. Now this boy should have been a book-eater, but unfortunately he wasn't. He didn't hunger for books, he hungered for minds. So technically he was a monster, and when people found out, they wanted to, you know, get rid of him. But Devon, of course, being Devon, she is a rebel, she's like the black sheep of the family. She kind of escaped with Kai, and yeah, they were just like living alone, and it was such an interesting book. Like, I genuinely can't think of, you know, like my mind wouldn't conjure up this kind of world, and it was such an interesting world. You know, the ink tea and the things that they ate, the different type of papers, and it was just mind-boggling to kind of like see this world. Like, it was just like, what? But yeah, everything was so very well detailed. The story was really strong, the characters were really good. The layering of course, the characters and the story both, it was really good. This is actually, this book actually jumps genres, so it's a bit of fantasy, a bit of horror, what else, a little bit of action, because there are fight scenes in this, and yeah, it's just really interesting how, you know, genre jumping this is. But anyway, I'll just quickly show you the Illumicrate edition of this, which is absolutely gorgeous. I will just open this book.
Open out for you the naked hardback here, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. Then you've got this on the back. This is a spine, so I'm going to try to open this as easy as I can. I think that's halfway. So if you kind of like, so this is meant to be, I don't know if you can see, but this is meant to be like a scene, and it's such a pretty book.
And yeah, the Book Eaters. Next we have 6 Crimson Cranes. And now I read this, when did I read this? I can't remember when I read it, but it's been a while. It's been a while since I've read it. Anyway, so this is basically, what is it? Is it folklore? Can you say folklore? No, I'm not too sure actually, but I if you know the story of 6 Swans, then you would probably know the story of this. Well, it's very similar. Anyway, so we have Shiori here, who is a princess, and she possesses magic. Now, magic is forbidden in this kingdom, and it's known to be evil and dark, and yeah, magic is just like a no-go. And she has 6 brothers. She also has a stepmother. And now, like we know with, you know, if you watch Disney, and you know, if you're into fairy tales, you know stepmothers are evil. So one day Shiori catches her stepmom practicing magic, and then her stepmom curses her and her brothers. So her brothers turn it into cranes, and Shiori ends up having a wooden bowl on her head, which kind of constricts her of speaking, so she can't speak. She can see through this bowl, but I don't think anyone can see her eyes. I'm not too sure. So Shiori then ends up having to go on this adventure to kind of break the curse, and it's really interesting because from Shiori, Shiori has this this magic, right? So she actually has a paper. I love it. I love this. Kiki is her her paper bird friend. Well, I want to say crane, and Kiki goes everywhere with her, and it's just interesting to see that bond with Kiki, and I absolutely love the bond that Shiori had with her brothers. It was really lovely to see. And yeah, then she meets this dragon called Seryu, and you know, he helps her try to break the curse, and it's just a wonderful adventure. If you're looking for something fantasy based and a world to kind of like get sucked into, definitely do check this out. It is such an amazing read. So this is the Fairy Liu edition. I am of course subscribed to Fairy Liu at the moment. I'm not sure why I'm laughing. I don't know. But yeah, this is such a beautiful book. So of course we've got the edge here with the cranes, and I'll just open it up for you.
We have the naked, so shiny. I love the foiling. So Fairy Liu do really good foiling on their naked hardbacks, which I think is just really beautiful. And yeah, the spine, I absolutely love the spine as well. Again, it's got foiling.
And then the dust jacket has this, which I think is really good. You can see all the characters here, and of course so yeah, during I absolutely love this. So of course we've got Seryu here, who's the dragon, who kind of morphs into like human form, and then on this side you've got Takan, and oh my god, he's such a good character. So Shiori kind of gets separated from her brothers, and she's kind of trying to like stay alive. She finds some work in some sort of inn, and we get to see Takan there, and it's just interesting, and it's just really fun to watch everything unfold. So there we have it, 6 Crimson Cranes. Next we have The Devotion of Suspect X. Now this is such an amazing read. I genuinely don't know how I came across it, but I'm so glad I did. I would never kind of gravitate towards this genre. Not sure why I did when I did, but I'm happy. I'm happy I did. Here we follow Yuzako and Misato, mother and daughter, who've moved into this town. It's been about a year since they've moved, and Yuzuko's actually kind of fled, I want to say, not fled, but just kind of moved away from her abusive ex-husband. And yeah, she's kind of getting along with life. She works at a lunchbox place, and yeah, life is good for her and her daughter. But one day her ex-husband shows up and kind of pleads that she take him back, and she's just not having it, and it's not gonna happen. Before you know it, he's dead. And the next door neighbour, Ishigami, has actually heard this commotion, so being a good neighbour, he kind of, you know, knocks on her door and tries to like find out if there's anything that he can help with, because he's heard, you know, he's heard noises. And she's just like, yeah, everything's fine, it was just like a mosquito, we're just trying to like get rid of a bug. And then later on he gives her a call because he's sussed out what's actually happened, and yeah, he says, you know what, I'll help you get rid of the body, and I'll kind of guide you through what you need to do and say when the detectives get here. So yeah, the story, we just Ishigami, how he kind of gets rid of the body, and the kind of plan he's made for Yuzuko and Misato. And of course we have Galileo. This is actually called the Galileo series, and of course Galileo, we have Yukawa. So we have Yukawa here, who is a physicist, and he's a consultant. Normally when the detectives find it difficult to crack a case, they normally go and have a word with him just to kind of help the case move along. And we have Detective Kusanagi, who is the main detective in the series. He goes to Galileo and he says, listen, this is the case and I'm not sure what's going on, but he's a suspect, and points him in Ishigami's direction. And before you know it, we get to know that Ishigami and Yukawa are actually friends from a very long time ago. I think they were in college together or university. Ishigami is a mathematician and of course Yukawa is a physicist. So yeah, they kind of like were in the same world at one point. So they kind of connect on that level. And yeah, it's just really, really interesting to see the twist. I think I've annotated like the end part because it's just too good. This is a very, very slow book. It's very slow. It's not action packed, but it's just really good. It's just pure story. It's very story centric. So if that's something that kind of, you know, if that's something that you read, then definitely do give this book a go. I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. One of my 5-star ratings. Yeah, here you go. Devotion of Suspect X. Next, from the same series, we have Salvation of a Saint. I'm not too sure how to kind of like explain this without spoiling it. We have Ione here, who is a famous patchwork artist. She runs a school to teach this craft, and she's got a apprentice called Hiromi. Now Yoshikata and Ayane, they have actually been in this kind of contract. He's said, you know, if there's no child within the first year of marriage, I'm gonna move on. And she's kind of, you know, kind of given him the nod and said, yeah, you know what, all right, let's do that. So one day Hiromi finds Yoshikata dead on the living room floor, and of course she lets Ayane know that this has happened, and before you know it, detectives are at the house. So he's died from drinking coffee. Yeah, he's died from drinking coffee, but there's of course more to it. There's more to it. I absolutely love the way Kigo Higashino layers his story. Like it's just layer after layer, and it's just like I wonder how his mind works, because I think, okay, so with Devotion of Suspect X, you know who the killer is right off the bat. You know how it's happened as well, and you know how what's happened to the body as well, but you don't. You don't really know what's happened until the few end chapters. That's what I love about his writing. I love like how he kind of, you know, kind of grabs you from like the first couple of pages, and you kind of like think, oh yeah, so like that's a bit boring, like I know what's happened, I know, you know, who's done it, what's the point really? No, there is a point, because at the you don't actually know the story until the end. You actually, yeah, so this was such a good read. Like I remember reading this and telling my mom about it, and she was like, whoa, like how can someone wait an entire year? Like, yeah, that was just mind-boggling. But anyway, yeah, if you haven't read this, then definitely do get your hands on it. Up next we have The Plotters. I think I read this last year. It was quite an interesting book. It is a Korean translated fiction book. Very, very, very dark, very dirty, very gruesome of a read. Normally I would not gravitate to this genre at all, but I have no idea what came across me that I had to kind of like get it and check it out, but I'm glad I did because I had fun. It was quite action-packed. There's a lot of violence. It's just such an interesting story. So we have Ri-sung here, who is an assassin, and we have Ol Raccoon. They are of course assassins, and Ol Raccoon is someone who kind of like gets someone to do the job, and yeah, he operates from this library, which I thought was quite interesting. And he is a father figure to Riseng. There's this whole crime infested world full of assassins and people who are out for revenge, and you know, there are these three women, one who is bound to a wheelchair, who, you know, they're all looking for revenge and they're all trying to kill Riseng, and it's just bizarre, and it's just really it was an entertaining read, I want to say. I really enjoyed this, given the fact that it was my first genre of such. Yeah, really interesting. If you're into violence, if you're into action, definitely do pick this one up. And it has a twist, which of course I can't say, but yeah, there is a character called Bear, I think. I genuinely can't remember names, but I do, you know, sometimes when I read a book I can't remember names, but I can remember the story. I think it's the case with this one as well. I think it's Bear, Big Bear, not too sure, but he criminates people, and he is such a funny character. Like, it's just funny, and these characters are really interesting as well. Like, I'm not going to say they seem real, because I've never met anyone like this before, but they do jump off the page. So if you're thinking of reading something different, another genre maybe, this one would be a good read. Next is a book I recently read and absolutely fell in love with it. I gave it 5 stars. Well, first, no, I gave it 4.5, but recently I gave it 5 because I read the bonus scene that was linked to this, and I absolutely loved it, and it gave me that closure that I needed, because I wanted more. So Stella is a social influencer, and she also wants to be a fashion designer, and Christian is the CEO of a security company, and they kind of meet through the building that they live in. So Christian owns the Mirage where Stella lives, and yeah, they soon get into this contract, this fake dating contract, and before you know it, they're actually falling for each other. And I absolutely love the story. I love the story, I love the characters, I loved everything about this book because it was so intense and it was just very story centric, which I absolutely enjoyed. Yeah, and Stella has a stalker, and Christian, you know, he's protecting her, and it's just, I love Christian so much. I think from this book, I actually don't have a fiction crush or boyfriend or husband or whatever, but Christian Harper, this man, I'm not too sure like what's happened, but he's the one. Christian is the one. But yeah, if you haven't read any of the Twisted books, definitely do give it a go, especially Twisted Lies. And just a side note, we don't get to see anything steamy until 60%, so even after that it's very story centric. The story is very strong, which I enjoyed. Yeah, there we go, Twisted Lies. Next we have XOXO. This was such a amazing read. So recently I've been watching a lot of K-drama, and this book was amazing. I mean, after watching K-drama and you read this book, you just feel that vibe that you're watching a K-drama. So here we follow Jenny, who is a cellist, and Jae-woo, who is a idol from a band called XOXO. And one day they meet in a karaoke bar. Jenny has absolutely no idea who he is, and Jenny works at her uncle's karaoke bar, so that's how they met. And yeah, so Jae-woo's band are actually in America at the time when they do meet. And then after that whole meeting, Jenny's grandma falls ill, so her mum wants to go to Seoul to kind of look after her mum. Jenny, she approaches her music teacher and says, look, this is the case, can anything be done? And she goes, yeah, you can actually complete your musical journey in Seoul if you want, just get transferred to another school. And then she's like, okay, you know what, I'll do it, because her mom was going to stay in Seoul for like 5 months. So anyway, she reaches Seoul. She realizes the boy that she met at the karaoke bar was actually an idol, because his face is literally plastered everywhere. And yeah, then she, you know, enrolls to this school, and she goes out to shop for a uniform, and there she meets the band members as well, so it's quite interesting. And then when she gets to school, she gets bullied a bit, but yeah, it was just interesting to see how the life of an idol kind of is. And it's just a really nice, story, this. Super enjoyed it. It's a feel-good story, so if you're into your romance books, this is of course why I definitely do pick this up. It's such a beautiful read. And this is of course the Fairy Loot edition with the sprayed edges. So there's nothing fancy inside, but the naked hardcover is amazing. So this is the naked hardcover for the book. So even if you buy the normal standard edition, you will get this hardback. So I don't think there was anything special as such that had been done to the book. So yeah, really nice story. XOXO. Next we have the Noh Family. Now if you're into K-dramas, then this you need to read. It is legit like watching a K-drama, no lie. It's just like watching a K-drama. So Chloe and her friends are fans of watching K-drama, so her friends gift her a DNA test kit for her birthday. She takes a test and she finds that she actually has family, a big family, and Chloe all this time has kind of wished she has, you know, a bigger family with like uncles and aunts and cousins, because it's just her and her mom. She kind of reaches out to them, and she ends up realizing that they are a very rich family. They own a big massive department store. The characters were really interesting. Like, I hated them all apart from Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim was nice. Mr. Kim was the driver, but apart from him, her actual family were horrible. Like, her cousins were nasty. Her grandma was just she's so two-faced. Like, it was so bad. And yeah, her grandma, there's this fortune teller slash PA that her grandma has appointed, and she doesn't do anything without, you know, consulting her, and she just kind of stirs the pot, and it's just, what is going on? So I felt so sorry for Chloe, because all she wanted was a family. She finally found it, you know. She wanted a, so she has a mum, but she wanted a bigger family. She wanted to be part of that. Finally she kind of found that and realized that they were good for nothing. They were just idiots basically, and they had their own motives, and you know, it was just wrong. It was just, the way they treated Chloe was horrible. Like, whilst reading this, I thought, why the hell didn't she pack her bags and just leave? Like, if that was me, I would just leave. Like, the way they treated her was so bad. But yeah, she stuck around, and before you know it, her mom ended up flying out and meeting her, which I thought was really nice. And her mom kind of told her the story of her dad and, you know, the whole family. And yeah, it's basically like watching a K-drama. So if you're a fan of K-drama, then definitely do pick this one up. Or even if you're not, if you're just a fan of like good books, then definitely do give this a go. Last but not least, we have The Things That We Lost by Jyoti Patel. Now, when did I read this? I read this in December last year. So it was just, I think this was a NetGalley book for me. So glad I read it, so glad. So here we follow Avni and Nick. Now, Avni and Nick are a mother and son duo, and yeah, it's just basically about life. So Nick's never known his father, and Avni, every time Nick asks anything to Avni about his dad, she kind of closes down and changes the subject or just avoids it completely. And Nick had a really good relationship with his granddad, Avni's dad. Suddenly he passes away, so Nick kind of loses that father figure, and he's kind of trying to cope with life. It's really interesting the way mental illness is kind of portrayed in that, within the South Asian community as well, because not many, I don't know many books that have spoken about this openly, but it's quite interesting to read. And yeah, Nick just kind of goes off to university and he gets racially abused there, which was really like, wow. And yeah, and then Avni, she's also been through something herself, you know, in her younger days. Like, her mom was really, really nasty to her, really nasty. Yeah, it's a very story-centric book. And then, you know, Nick finds the car that his dad used to own and drive around, and Avni's not really happy with that, you know, the way things have worked out and how he's found the car. She absolutely hates it, and of course going forward, as the story progresses, we know why. She doesn't like the car and she just doesn't want to speak about her past. It's just heartbreaking. This book is quite heartbreaking, but in hindsight it's also very beautifully told as well. So yeah. So if you've read any of the books that I've showcased today, definitely do let me know in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to let me know your recommendations as well, your 5-star reads. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and of course don't forget to subscribe as well. Until the next video, take care and happy reading.